I started making work under my own name in 2010, and that was a solo show about my grandmother and her wartime romance. And then I moved on to my first ensemble piece. It was a three-hander, and that one was a clown show about eating disorders, about anorexia, called Mess. And that was the first time I collaborated with experts from outside the theatre world, and that was something I then took forward into Islands, which is also an ensemble piece.
One day, in fact it was a Tuesday, this holiest of trinities, spots Adam, a simple freelance gardener, and he, his charming yet ambiguous wife, on their little patch of shit world.
In Islands, we meet a gang of, I suppose, have-nots, and they mock the system of tax avoidance, tax evasion, tax havenry generally, this human tendency to set up a little separate haven where different rules apply and it doesn't matter about everyone else. So it's a violent world, it's a world where no responsibility is taken, no one has to pay for anything, they completely disregard consequences. And so I suppose at heart that's what's being mocked. And I have very loosely taken the story of Adam and Eve's fall from paradise, and that's where a loose version of the story sits.
And this was the beginning of the new kingdom, yeah. At God's command, Adam and Eve's humble little plot ripped itself free from the poor and the shitty chaos of shit world. Up we floated, up and up.
And I did name my floating island Haven.
It's not a documentary drama that is going to give us lots of information or educate us in a straightforward way about how this stuff works. It's more a call to arms. It's a bit more like going to a riot or a protest. It's full of filth and rage and disgust. It's like Bouffant allowed us to reveal the underbelly of what is actually an incredibly violent world, but that gets packaged for us repeatedly as something incredibly polite and establishment.
Catechism time. How can you glorify God?
By loving her and doing what she commands.
Good girl.
Where is God?
God is everywhere.
Does God know all things?
Yes.
Can God do all things?
Yes.
Then best fear God and serve her faithfully with all your heart. N'est-ce pas?
Just to be clear.
Don't scratch. And don't bore these people.
It provoked an absolute storm of debate. People hated it, people loved it. We had people leaving, people coming back and seeing it repeatedly. I think there seemed to be a bunch of people who were incredibly excited about it. It felt very new, quite sort of un-English in some way, particularly as a piece of political theatre. We saw the audience completely shift within a week. So it was a really fascinating piece in terms of the strength of responses it provoked. There were debates in sort of the theatre press, and Twitter was full of rage and love, probably in equal measures. And actually, as a piece of Bouffant Theatre, which isn't designed to educate, it's designed to provoke, that was sort of spot on.